So welcome friends. Tomorrow the 10th of October we celebrate World Mental Health Day. It's a day which stands for mental solidarity, mental well-being. So at KGI we thought what better than discuss about mental health, the well-being and get to hear from our experts who are working on this field for a long time. We're happy to introduce Mind Peers, who are going to be an integral part of the journey with KGI on the path of mental well-being. Mind Peers is a mind and behavioral healthcare platform for users, businesses, and hospitals. It provides personalized care and integrates mind well-being with physical health care to prevent non-communicable diseases caused by stress. Let me introduce Kanika Agarwal, the founder of Mind Peers. Kanika is an entrepreneur who was already running Passion Peers in 2016 before working with Google as well as Microsoft. Because of going through her own personal journey with mental health concerns, she gave birth to Mind Peers, an on-demand behavioral healthcare SaaS platform which helps users think, feel, and do their best. Let me see if Kanika is there. I will invite her to join us.
Hi, Vinayak.
Hi, Kanika. Glad
How
to
are
have you
you?
here. Great, great.
My pleasure. My pleasure. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, both physically and mentally.
Good to know. Good to know.
So, I've already given a brief introduction about why this session about Mind Peers. So, Kanika, the first thing that even came to my mind and a lot of users would want to know is what is mental health? And
Hmm.
physical health is easier to measure, right? How do you measure something which you can't see, right? So, can you
Hmm.
just tell us something about mental health? How do you measure it? What are the various aspects of mental health? That'll be
Right.
great.
Sure. So let's start with it. So, Vinayak, it's so funny, right? Like the pandemic taught us that there is something called mental health that exists as well, right?
Yeah.
We all would be going through something or somewhere something new about it, but we only started to take it seriously in the last 2 years when we physically got limited, right? Because
Yeah.
of lockdown and everything that was happening around us. Now, I think the very basic thing to understand is that right from when you are born, right, you have physical health. We understand our body, but we don't understand our mind. And mental health, everyone has mental health. Everyone who's alive today has mental health because it's as simple as taking care of your mind. That's it, right? So the status of your mind, if your mind is great, like if your mind is feeling great, if your mind is doing great, it means it's a good mental health. And if there is something that you know you're suffering with, you're going through, which could be something as simple as feeling stressed or something as simple as feel like crying, if your mental health gets affected a bit, it's as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
So mental health is everything and anything to do with the state of your mind, right? Just like how physical health is to do with the state of your body. Now, the tricky part is the measurement, like you asked. And that's probably one of the reasons why a lot of us do not believe, let's say, or we question so much about mental health, right? We get scared of it, or we feel that, oh my God, mental health, like I don't have any problems. But the thing is that, like I said initially, also that we all have mental health, right? But we are not believing in it, or we are still getting our way around it because we don't know about it objectively. I think the best way to quantify mental health, right, in today's world is to understand three parameters around it. Okay. The first is emotions. We all feel in some way or the other. In scientific manner, those feelings are called your emotions. So that's one. Second is your thoughts, the way you think. So that is the second thing, which in a way tells you what is the state of your mind. And the third aspect is the way you behaviors. A lot of us, all the, I would say, eating actions that we do, anger that we take out, the snapping that we do, or the way we feel frustrated about things, all of these are the behaviors that we show when we are not thinking of feeling fine, right? So I think for today, if I have to say, the easiest way to measure your mental health is to understand your emotions, your thoughts, and the way you behave, because all three are interrelated. In the clinical world, this is actually called cognitive triad, TRIAD. So it's your cognitive triad. And I would just mention, and everyone who has joined us today, if anyone wants to actually measure their mental health, like you had also given an introduction about ourselves, at MindPeers, we guys have actually come out with an index which
Nice.
measures your mental strength. So it is
Great.
called the Mind Care Index. Anyone can go to the platform and take the test, and they will get a number which actually tells them that how they're doing in the different aspects of their mind. So this is a quick summary, because mind is a very vast topic, but this is just to summarize of what mental health is and how you can measure it.
So, if I'm physically unwell, I know I have to go to the nearest doctor, right?
Yeah.
What happens if I'm mentally unwell? Who do I approach? Where do I go?
Right. So just like how, like when I'm sure if something goes wrong with your physical health, right? You don't try to diagnose it yourself. You don't say, ki, I've got injured, let me just do it myself. You don't. You're precautious. You want to go to a professional for it, right? Even if it's a preemptive or a preventive measure that you are taking. Just like that, for your mental health, there are experts. And there are different levels of experts that we have. So I think to answer this question, that what should we do, how should we identify it, and all of that, I think we do have an expert as well joining us from MindPeers today. We can let her in and we will let her answer this question for you.
Nice. That's great. Yes, I do see Ketki Natika joining us. Is that right?
Yes, that's Ketki.
Yeah, great to have Ketki with us. What does Ketki do at MindPeers, Kanika?
So Ketki Vinayak is a senior psychologist. She's a counseling psychologist. She specializes in areas like anxiety, depression. She mostly works with adolescents, young adults, and even professionals.
Wow.
But it's best her introduction comes from her, and I will let her answer the expert question that you have asked. Hi, Ketki.
Hi, Ketki.
Hi, Kanika. Hi, Vinayak. Glad to be here.
Great.
Great.
So while Kanika and we were discussing about mental health, what if I have a problem? What if I fear that I'm mentally not balanced and I need help? What do I do? What do I do for that, Ketki? What is the best remedy?
Okay. Okay. So I think Kanika has helped us understand how to identify with the help of cognitive triad. The cognitive triad is also something that I like to call the magic triangle, because it's so easy to remember. You just have to look at what am I thinking, what am I feeling, or what are my emotions like, and what is it that I'm doing. Okay, so if my behavior, maybe I'm snapping at people, I'm not able to react, I'm not able to respond, I'm not able to wait, I'm just going around snapping, irritated at people, then that's a behavior that I need to watch out for. Or if on my emotions, if my anger just doesn't go down, or if my sadness is not going away, then that's a red flag, a warning sign for us. Thoughts, there are thought chains on and on and on, and I cannot break out of them, then that's a thought level that we need to work at. Now, what do you do about it is, of course, reaching out to a professional, like we would go to, and there are, even in physical health, because we understand it so well, there are various professionals that we go to for various things. Yeah. So if it's a first aid related thing, we may go to the nurse or at the ER. Yeah. Or if it's, we may then refer to a general physician or an MD or a specialist based on what we need. Yeah, exactly. With mental health also, there are various professionals that you can go to. Yeah, right from lifestyle, right from everyday concerns to more severe diagnosed mental health conditions, there are psychologists, counselors, psychiatrists that we can all go to. Yeah, they are available on at various hospitals, on platforms like, we have professionals on MindPeers platform as well. We all work at one, identifying what is it in the triad that we can, what warning signs are you coming in with. Plus, we as professionals can also help you identify some other warning signs that may not be very visible. And when it comes to repairing, or when it comes to what do I do to feel better, or what do I feel to not let it interfere with my everyday living, and everyday living being my personal life, my relationships, my social areas, my work, all of that, my health also. What do I do for it? We again go back to the magic triangle, So we start working with thoughts. Essentially, thoughts become the root from where emotions come out, and emotions become the root from which behavior comes out. And while it's cyclical, it's essential to start looking and working with our thoughts. Yeah. So for example, if I am looking at why am I snapping at people, like we looked at the behavior, if I keep working on that, ignore my thoughts and ignore my feelings, then it's very difficult to just change that. Unless I understand where is that coming from, what is the thought. Okay, so maybe I'm feeling so attacked all the time that I can't. So my thought is everyone's attacking me. Unless we work at that, my snapping will not go down. Yeah. So it's about identifying what's at the root. So the thought allows you to identify what's at the root. What behavior is something that you see, I see, everyone sees. Yeah. Uske niche, what is there, what's underneath that are your thoughts and your emotions. Yeah. So emotions and then thoughts. So start working with thoughts, breaking thought loops, or staying away from maybe so-called negative thoughts. Yeah. Thoughts that are impacting my life in some way, staying away from them, or being also able to label, hey, that's a thought, that's something that's a fact. Okay, so I feel attacked, I think I'm being attacked. That's not a fact, that's just something that's me, my opinion, my thinking. The first step is to start identifying and labeling your thoughts, identifying that they're not facts. That's your first step to start. Automatically, emotions are, like the regulator on the fan. Once your thought is changed, modified, the regulator on the emotions goes down. Right? So if your emotions are very high, lot of frustration, lot of anger, it reduces by, like the fan is going on 4, it will start going on 2. Okay, so that's like your first step. Now, if the emotion of anger is not there, snapping is anyway slightly reduced. Yeah, so that's your first step to begin your journey.
Great. So, Ketki Kanika, tell me something. 10 days ago, I turned 40. My father called me after wishing me. He told me, it's important now you're turning 40. You have to proactively take care of your health, do exercise, do yoga. So this is again an area which is an unknown for a lot of us. And the fear of the unknown always stays. It lingers, right? So what do we do proactively to keep ourselves mentally, healthy? What do we do on a day-to-day basis? A, B, C. Simple but easily followable steps that keep us fit. Is there a mantra there?
Kate, I'll let you take that.
For sure there is. So I love how you put it as, an everyday thing, because that is something that, we often forget. Now, of course, there's maybe greater awareness around physical wellness that ways, that at least after 40 or after, 30, people are like, chalo, now it's like all the fun years are over. Let's get serious about this, and maybe you'll start hitting the gym every day or start taking your diet seriously. So just the same way, Vinayak, is how we look after our mental wellness also. Okay, so the first thing that we need to always ensure when it comes to mental wellness, because our mind and body are all connected. So what's happening in my body will impact my mind, and what's happening in my mind will impact my body. So the first step to go is ensuring there's balance, like homeostasis. Am I getting enough sleep? Am I getting good nutrition? And is my body getting movement? So those would be the primary, almost like a foundation, to ensure that there is a base for mental wellness to begin from. Yeah. And then it's all about, so like we have heard this a lot of times, your mind is a muscle. So exercise it. As much as you exercise it, it strengthens. And that's how your mental strength like you mentally become stronger. You're more resilient. So resilient meaning, if there is a pitfall, you know how to bounce back. Yeah. That's basically resilience. So toughening that up so that every time it's like a trampoline. If you jump on it, you're going to bounce back. It's almost like that. So how do you strengthen that? Start with ensuring that you're getting your physiological needs sorted. Your
Great.
sleep sorted, your appetite sorted, your movement sorted. That's done. Then you move into starting to looking at, what being more cognizant and aware. That would be your first step. Like we've talked about the magic triangle, keep that handy. Keep watching for warning signs. Keep looking for not just warning signs, but also green flags. We talk so much about red flags in relationships and otherwise, we forget to talk about green flags. So what are the good practices when it comes to my thoughts? So affirmations, for example, morning affirmations, or setting an intention that sets your thoughts on the right way. Having an intention to your day, to your life, to your week, to your relationships, everywhere. Intention gives you a set direction that you're going on. Constantly verifying that. When it comes to your feelings, look at expressing them and not just bottling them up. Because the more it's like stale food. The more I put in the fridge, the more it's going to stink.
Yeah.
So don't do that to your body also. Don't do that to your mind also. Don't find ways to express. There are multiple ways to find a vent, but more constructive vent. So talk about it, write about it, journal about it. Talk to a professional, talk to a friend. Have your support system, your closest circle. Identify those 5 people that I can call at any time and talk about what I'm going through.
Yeah.
So bring it out, do not suppress it. That's one. And actions would be identify what are your, like, when do you know that your behaviors are getting sabotaging and what are the healthy ones. And it's always like a thin line, like a track that you're walking on. So keep that balance in. When you find yourself, say I'm falling off the wagon, I have been going to the gym, for example, every single day and I'm falling off the wagon. Identify, allow for 2 days and then slowly get back on track. So work with yourself, allow, but also be a little firm. Allow for room for exploration, room for leeways, room for saying I need a break, I need a pause, but also be firm with yourself to get yourself back on the track. Because
Got it.
practice makes you perfect. The more you do it, the more you get better at it.
Great. So Ketaki, can I summarize it as take care of yourself, eat well, drink well, sleep well, right? And think
Those would
well.
be the
And
starters, yes.
have the right
Focus on
thoughts.
your thoughts. Yeah.
Great, great. So I
And
think
sorry, Vinayak, if I can just add, right? These are
absolutely.
things that we hear every day, but we ignore them, right? We ignore them and then we make stress a habit. We
Yeah.
feel that it's very cool to be busy. We feel that it's very cool to
Yeah.
say to someone that, I'm in meetings whole day, I'm feeling so stressed. It's become a fashion now. We need to break
Absolutely.
from that loop, what Ketki was saying. Because
Yeah.
we don't realize it right now. Nothing is going to come out of stress right now. It's going to impact you in the next 5, 6 years. And there is something that exists in the clinical world, which is scientifically proven, that your mind takes 21 days, 21 days to make anything a habit, whether a good habit or a bad habit.
Yeah.
So if I'm working continuously, let's say 11 hours without drawing boundaries of my personal and my work life, it will automatically become a habit. And if it starts to cause a stress in my life, that will also automatically become a habit. Your body, your mind will get attuned to the fact that stress is common now. But what you don't realize is that's where you're entering the mental illness zone, right? So all the things that Ketki mentioned, that good nutrition, 8 hours of sleep, people, I feel, underrate the importance of sleep. We don't
Sleep.
know how important it is to sleep. There is this book, and I'll just refer over here. It changed my life the way I'm seeing sleep. It's called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker. It talks about how sleep affects your knowledge retention power, how it affects your habits, your behaviors, and the most of all, it saves about 10 years of your life. So if you're
Wow.
sleeping every day for 8 hours, it actually saves and lets you live for longer. That's the impact it has on your mind, because sleep and mind are very closely related. So all I want to just add on to say here is that you might be in habitual things of not sleeping well, of not eating well, of not getting optimum amount of sunlight, of not talking to people anymore, or of not socializing. Start to do that. Recreate those habits for 21 days and you will already be on the first path to what you call proactive mental wellness.
Yeah.
So
Great.
just wanted to add
Great.
on that.
Thank you so much, Kanika. I think the topic that we're discussing today is you can unmask your feelings for a healthy mind, right? Um, I'll start proactively and tell you an incident that happened 8 years ago. I'd gone through a lot of emotional trauma in my personal life, and I was going through depression, pain, and but I could never share this feeling with someone else. There was always the fear of being judged, and this regressed me into more deepened anxieties, trauma. I remember once my erstwhile boss, we were having a meeting and we were all debating, and nobody was ready to accept the problem. So he told us that the first thing you do is you have to acknowledge that there is a problem, because unless you can acknowledge that there is a problem, you will never try hard to find a solution for it.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a good friend of mine, and he told me, why don't you visit a counselor? Initially, it was I was not ready for it. I must be around 32 that time, and 32 years I had never heard of a counselor. I had never been to a counselor, and but yes, he coaxed me and he forced me to meet the counselor. I did, and honestly, the first session was embarrassing. The second session was revealing, and third session onward, it was probably a journey for me. It was a journey. I finally, in my own terms, emerged victorious against my own inhibitions. And even today, when I feel that I'm way ahead of the problem, I don't feel bad to still visit a counselor from time to time to understand whether am I having derailers. Because that's what our life is all about, right? It's easy to express happiness, pride, awe, but when it comes to sadness, anger, depression, sorrow, embarrassment, boredom, anxiety, it's not that easy to express these. So I think through this initiative, we are trying to tell people that balance, that's what I got from both of you, the balance of karma, the balance of chakra, the balance of life, the balance of being healthy mentally, physically, spiritually is important. And if you have a problem, it's important to find the right person, right? To go and approach the problem. It may be anybody. It could be a friend. It could be a counselor. So, any thoughts on that, Kanika and Ketki, about fighting yourself, right? The first thing is you're fighting yourself.
Yeah, definitely. So, Katie, maybe I'll just share my incident and I'll let you talk from an expert perspective also. So, just like how you shared, right? When I'm sure it would have taken you must have thought, should I share or not, right? About the experience that you went through. So, with me, it happened to me way early in my life, right? At 24, I became a founder, and I actually went through anxiety attacks. So I was hyperventilating, and the whole concept of mind did not exist in my life, right? And anyway, we founders, we are taught this thing, even leaders today in corporate world, right? We are taught this thing to fake it till you make it. Right? We have to live by this concept. So even if today I'm probably struggling with something in my startup, I can't go out there to tell to the world that this is the problem my startup is having, because I'll be considered a failure, I might be considered incapable, and it will already add to the stress and the whole emotional, how should I say, upheaval that I'm going through, right? So we're told to just fake it till you make it. But why? Right? Why can't I share the emotional, the negative emotions that I'm going through? Right? I might be scared of the people who are going to judge me, but is it more than what you're going through internally? And like we say, we're talking about unmasking our emotions. On social media, all of us want to show our lives to look very cool. We're all having fun, but is it really the thing? Like when we are traveling, we want to show the best of places we've been in, right? We forget to enjoy in the real moments. We want to show the best of the world, but we are instead pressurizing ourselves about it. And now what I have done is I've actually made it a habit, which is helping me so much personally, that if I'm actually, struggling with something in the startup, I'm open to my team members about it, right? actually internally say that, today I'm not feeling well, not because I have a headache or I have a stomach ache or I have a flu. I'm not feeling well because I'm not in the space. I'm maybe burnt out, I'm stressed, I'm feeling emotionally weak, could be anything. So we have now
Absolutely.
started to open out to each other, right? And trust me, the pressure that goes off you now when you show your true emotions, it's unmatchable. You actually give others the strength to be their selves, to show their real selves, and you open a space for them to, reflect their real emotions. And I think it's a movement that we all need to start, right? That as soon as we start to become true to ourselves, we reflect what we are actually feeling. We're actually going to, make a good example for others to do the same. Right, Ketki, I'll let you talk about any clinical aspects, and especially maybe Ketki, if you shed some light, because there was a question around this, that when people are opening about their emotions, right, they feel embarrassed. Going to therapy is an embarrassment for a lot of people. How do you deal in such situations? Just to quickly tell us a bit about that.
Absolutely. Okay. So to look at where, why we feel embarrassed, like why should it be so difficult to say that, hey, I am stressed and I will need like a day off. But it's so easy to say, hey, I have fever, and then everybody just understands that, you won't be available for work. And in fact, they tell you, don't like turn off your notifications and don't be available, and we're not going to disturb you. But why so difficult for stress? A lot of times we as a society have, we are, as a society also, we are unlearning a lot of our said beliefs. We have never, I mean, how much in schools for 16 years we have studied maths, science, all of that. How often have we looked at how am I feeling? How often did our teachers ask us, hey, how are you feeling? And is something going on at home? Are you feeling okay? Never really. So as a society, we are unlearning and starting to talk a lot more about emotions. There is still a long way to go, but we are on the journey, and it's more about now staying on the journey and not deterring from the path. um, and which is why, because we've never really talked about emotions, we have these judgmental things about emotions. Some emotions are okay, like Vinayak said, happiness, excitement, share it with the world. If you're grieving, grieve by yourself. If you're going through a breakup, try and do it alone, in your room. Like, we don't want to see that you're sad. So we kind of judge them, but fail to understand that, hey, emotions are waves. So if there's been an up, it's going to come down. Nobody really stays up for a long time. One, it would also be unhealthy to just stay up. It's
Yep.
like staying awake 72 hours. We can't do that. We have to sleep. So it's like that. If you go up, you're going to come down. So it's just two sides of the same thing. It's not about this is good and that is negative. तो वो negative नहीं बोलना है, नहीं करना है. That's not human. That doesn't make us human. So one is that, and because of this whole that I have to do it by myself, I have to grieve by myself, I have to go through tough situations by myself, we've also made it a very individualistic journey. Everybody goes through breakups. Just for an example, everybody fails. Everybody has, maybe, just today morning we were talking in a group session about food and how relationship with food is so distorted again. But that's also something that everybody does. But we don't sit in conference rooms and talk about what is it that you are going through, or how was your last breakup, and can you give me some tips? We don't do that. But how about starting these conversations? Maybe not in the conference room, but maybe in the cafeteria, or now in virtual Friday meetups. How about starting them, about having these conversations where it's okay, like Kanika said, when I tell you that, hey, I'm going through a very tough time, I also make space. So I'm not just doing myself a favor, I'm doing everyone I'm speaking to about that a favor by giving them a space to, maybe not today, but tomorrow, come and tell me that they are going through a tough time. But if I'm trying to say that, oh, no, all's good, all's good, even if you're going through something, you won't have that space with me, for sure. So it's all about me opening up with my vulnerabilities, leaning into that discomfort. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but try leaning into it. If we are changing tracks, like the train, we know life a certain way, we are changing that track, there is going to be friction. till it smoothens up.
Yes.
Yeah. So this journey will get easier to talk about our emotions. It's just we are in that phase of transition, which is why it's tough. But the more of us talk about it in all different contexts, there's really no setting where we shouldn't talk about emotions, where we shouldn't talk about our struggles, where we shouldn't talk about our highs in terms of our mental health and emotional well-being. Talk about it everywhere, make it everyday conversations. And that's how I create space for everyone to talk about their struggles also.
Helps. I think totally helps. I think the start has to be made. Tomorrow is World Mental Health
World
Day.
Mental.
Yes, I'm going to make a start. I learned something new today from both of you, Kanika and Ketki. I'm going to get my cognitive triad evaluated ASAP. And if after that I need therapy, I need therapy. I need help, I need help. I need to share, I need to share. Because my physical and mental well-being is also reflective of the physical and the mental well-being of my family and the people
Absolutely.
around me, my
Yeah.
peers, my team. Everybody is so much today in the social fabric. We are so dependent on each other. I'm going to make that start, and I am very, very confident that a lot of our users will also make that start.
Amazing.
Great having both of you. Thank you so much, Ketki.
Thanks a
Thank you
lot.
so much, Kanika, for taking the time out.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much to Mind Peers. We're going to make this change today, and you're going to see a lot of us coming to you to make the change.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you
Let the
so much,
journey
Vinayak.
begin. Thank you so
Yep.
much. Let
It's
the
a
journey
start.
begin.
Thank you. Thanks, Ketki.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Thank you
everyone,
so
for
much.
joining. And as I said, let the journey begin. Right? Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.